Well, the room is filling up, and we have an interesting panel discussion coming up. In this rapidly evolving world, stories of scale are being written, and global banks are holding the pen for that. So let us get our hands together as I begin inviting our esteemed and distinguished moderators and panel members for an intriguing round of conversation. So first up, let us put our hands together for none other than our pioneering moderator, Mr. Rahul Bhargava, consultant, World Bank. Thank you for the resounding round of applause. And before I invite our other distinguished panel members, I request all of you to please ensure that your mobile phones, the only tech gadget that we want on silent mode for this session for today. Thank you so much for that. Well, I extend a very warm welcome to you on stage, and it's a pleasure to have you here. Let us get our hands together for our panel members. Mr. Mahmoud Abu Ebeid, CEO and co-founder, Global Software Solutions Group. A very warm welcome to you. Next up, Mr. Sandeep Ubale, Chief General Manager and Deputy Chief Digital Officer, State Bank of India. Sir, it's an honor to have your presence here. Mr. Suman Pokharel, Deputy CEO, Global IME Bank. A very warm welcome to you. And last but not the least, let's give it up for Mr. Vishal Maru, Global Head, Processing Business, FSS. Well, there's not much to say. We have a lot to hear from these distinguished panel members, so I leave the strings of the conversation in your able hands. Rahul, please take it forward from here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Thanks for that warm welcome, everyone. A pleasure to be here again at GFF'25, and trying to bring a very, very topical area of conversation to you today. If you think about the future, right, and I've been having conversations, and all of us have been conversations about the future of banking and payments and fintech. We often think about a future where you essentially lose the form factor of the infrastructure at the back, right? Whether it's a payment rail or a bank, you don't really want to see it. What you want is an experience which is state-of-the-art, customer delightful, and essentially best practice. Now, when we start thinking about banks and the role they've been playing, you start at 40 plus years back, right? You had these massive mainframe solutions, very monolithic applications, batch applications. Everything was batch, right? That's not a word we use these days, by the way, right? And then came around open systems, which kind of reduced some of this batch dependency, introduced some more instancy and real time. This is maybe about 30 years, roughly back. And then more recently, we saw the advent of cloud, right? You talked about elasticity, you talked about the ability to do more, be more open, and essentially extend to services, where banks could really extend the scope of work to amazing levels. Yet, today, when we start thinking about AI, we start thinking about tokenization, we start thinking about new forms of money, we start thinking about interoperability, we start thinking about standards. The challenge that a bank of today even faces is really big. How do you become a bank of tomorrow, right? So with that quick note, I wanted to kind of kick off this conversation. The introductions have been made, so I won't repeat everybody who's on stage in the interest of time. But let's take a quick poll around the room. So first question, who's in the room? How many bankers here? Okay, that's good. 20%. How about fintechs? Okay, another 25, 30%. How about regulators? No regulators in the room. Okay. Oh, there's one. Okay, we are still not safe. And how many kind of infrastructures, market infrastructures? Okay, any journalists in the room? Good. So fair to say it's a mixed crowd, and that's great. We love to look at different perspectives. In terms of these four kind of let's say segments that I spoke about, where you speak about the first generation, second generation, third generation, fourth generation of banks, how many of you feel that today's globally the banks are actually they've crossed the first mainframe and open system stage, and they've gone to the third cloud stage? How many of you feel that it's above 80% who've crossed that? Or how many of you feel that it's 60%? Okay, 50%, 10%, 50 would make sense to cloud. Okay, awesome. So again, a mixed feeling in the crowd, right? So let's unravel, let's unwrap this a bit with my fellow panelists. Now, the first thing I want to kind of ask was, when you think about the key drivers behind modernization, right? I want to get a clear sense from all the speakers, what do they feel from their individual perspectives of what is driving core bank modernization direction today? So maybe starting with Mahmoud.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone, and namaste. So basically, I believe the real-time adaptability for the banks is very important. If you look at it, right now, some of the banks, not all obviously, they have a static infrastructure, which takes probably months to comply with the regulatory, and this has to be taken away. Some of the banks are obviously cloud-driven, they're cloud natives, they're modernized, and they take a huge leap where they are adapting to the regulatory, and this gives an important impact to the ecosystem itself. So I come from the United Arab Emirates, and we've developed the real-time payments platform. It's called ANI. And we've seen with this platform, it allowed the participants, which we call the financial institutions, to comply with the mandatory and the regulations in weeks even, not even in months. And this is due to the API-drivens. And the outcome was a better customer experience and a more revenue stream for the banks. And it improved the customer experience in a way it's more dynamic rather than static. And we call it like the heavy white elephant thing is not there anymore. So I believe the real-time adaptability is very important.
Great. So maybe Sandeep, your perspective on the most compelling direction behind this.
Yeah. Good afternoon, all of you, and thanks for giving this opportunity. Well, if you look at the banking, the evolution in the banking for the last 40 years, we started with a manual system, entering into ledger and all that. Then came the standalone computerization system, and then around 99 or 98, we moved on to core banking solution, what we are talking about. Means the customer was not of a branch. He became customer of the bank. And then later came internet banking. Internet banking, in fact, came much earlier, followed by mobile banking, and now we are talking about digital bank, that SBI, which is SBI's flagship product. So all these transformations, there are two driving factors. One, the emergence of technologies in themselves. And second, matching these technologies with the customer expectations, which are growing day by day. Now in banking, what we are experiencing is that there are other products, non-banking products, which are there available to the customer. And the customer compare those products with the banking products, like Swiggy or Zomato, or you take Uber, for example, or Netflix and all that, which are completely non-banking related products which are there, or services which are available. When the customer is experiencing something different there, when it comes to banking, the customer expects that the banking also need to match with all these kind of seamless, real-time, very quick to respond kind of experiences. So for that, banks need to continuously invest in technologies, need to stay relevant, otherwise you will be out of market. One more thing which has come up recently is that the only thing that differentiates between banks is the customer service. Now, how to excel in customer service? For there also, you need to continuously do some innovation and keep on investing in technologies to see to it that your customer base only increases day by day, and it doesn't happen that your customer is slipping away from you and is getting into some other bank or is getting into some multi-banking area. So it's a combination of multiple factors. That's what my view
But great
is.
to hear the focus on consumer needs and ultimately what are the real underlying problems, right, that to be solved. And technology is always the enabler, right? We keep seeing the technology form factor changing. But let me move now to another view from a banker. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Suman, Global IM Bank, Nepal. So I'm from different market. So I'm just sharing my, my experience or the market perspective, especially, the reason why bank need to, move into cloud direction. The thing is, if you see Nepal's banking system within last couple of years, within less than 10 years, there are so many changes happened in the industry. So many consolidations happened, and capital size increased, and number of banks they got squeezed to 20, and now banks are having a very tough time, especially serving their capital. So OpEx is very heavy, and so they have no choice. They have to optimize the resources, and the only way where they can optimize the resource and get that productivity and efficiency is, I think, is in a building and augmenting their core infrastructure. So that is one reason why the bank need to really focus on these things. And another is market is also moving toward the same direction. So if you see Nepal market in very short period of time, we really saw a revolution, especially in a payment digitization. Huge changes. If you go to any places in Nepal, every small villages, you'll get the QR payments, and a number of mobile banking users, which was around in a millions of numbers, now it has increased to 24 million. In 5 years. If you see wallet users, it's the same. More than 30 million. More than 20 million wallet users are there. So market is moving into that directions, and even the central bank. Central bank is also very much proactive. They are coming up with the regulatory sandbox. They are coming with the CBDC, and they recently in the new monetary policy they said they will be giving digital bank license. So market is also giving a very tough time to the banks, and bank in themselves is also having very tough time, especially OpEx heavy. So the only way is to augment and optimize their resources. That's why this thing is very, very important for the Nepalese banking. Thank you.
So many business case factors actually driving the decision to make a transformation. Great. Now let me move on to Vishal. Maybe from your perspective as well, looking at the scale of change you've seen in banks over time. Please share your perspective.
So my experience comes from the fact that we are being looked as the key link between the regulator, fintechs, and banks. And from my perspective, I think what is very important today as a key business driver is building resilience. And when I say resilience, it's all about building flexibility, bringing scale, speed, and also the safety. Look at, and what Sandeep said is right. Look at the consumers today. They don't talk and they don't compare banks with other banks. They compare banks with the first digital companies like PhonePe or Paytm. They want instant approvals. They want smooth onboarding. They want seamless response to their queries. Look at regulators. Now, today, all across the world, regulators have been talking about operational resilience. They have been looking at the readiness on the cybersecurity side. They have been looking at systematic stability. And a lot of work has been done by each of the regulators. Look at banks and fintechs. I think the most important dire need for them is the speed to go to market. And whether they have to launch new product, whether they have to add new features to the product. And I think all this, if you look at it, is all about, in some way, scalability and stability. And not that in the last 30 years, the legacy platform has not been built on these principles. They were also built on the principle of scalability and stability. But I think what is changing, and the essence lies in that there is a need of urgency now. Urgency for compliance, urgency to meet customer demand. And I think that change in that need for urgency is bringing the speed as one of the important factor, is bringing the trust, which means safety as a second important factor, along with the scalability, stability, or maybe you can call flexibility. And I think that's where now today, even we in our boardroom, we discuss less about cost and efficiency, but we discuss more about whether we as a company, are we future ready? Are we ready for the resilience in future? And I think that's important. And that's where this whole journey of core to cloud, and the topic talks about it, is more about, in my opinion, not really a technology decision. It's more of a business survival strategy.
So that's great to hear, right? You're talking about the future, you're talking about resiliency, you're talking about future proofing. And there's almost consensus that there is a need to keep pace with what's happening, both in terms of consumer needs, technology, regulatory policy, and other changes. So we've discussed a bit of the why. Why is there a drive for transformation? And now maybe let's start looking at the what. What's actually being done? What's being done, right? So let me turn to Sandeep first. Now, Sandeep, from an SBI perspective, being the largest public sector multinational bank in India and of global scale, when you consider this challenge of being innovative, being at the front end of leading the banking curve, how do you manage that direction and that forward-looking view and transformation with aspects like safety, resiliency, and risk? How do you manage that and balance it at SBI?
See, at SBI, with 52 crore customers, that is 520 million customers, and more than 23,000 branches, and around 60,000 plus another customer touch points, we are operating at a massive scale. And we also have international operations. Plus, we have customers mix of all age groups, all segments, coming from various geographies. So, for a bank like SBI, when it comes to a balance between customer experience and also to remain within the parameter of the regulatory regulations or rules or whatever you may call them, it's a fine art of balance. So we have to maintain our balance accordingly. So what we normally do is that our core and other operations, they still remain on the mainframe, which is the legacy infrastructure, and we keep on expanding it as per the need. And also we have our own private cloud, where most of the operations are being shifted other than core. So when it comes to innovations or giving something which is new in the market to our own customers, and as I said, to stay relevant and to keep on investing in various technologies, we keep doing that with our channels like internet banking or mobile banking and our digital bank, which is YONO. We also have YONO Business for the non-retail segment. And also we have regular partnerships with fintechs. We participate in various conferences. We keep on engaging with the big techs as well as the fintechs, as well as all those innovators which are there in the market. And we keep on getting ideas. And then again, when we look at the customer expectations and what is available in the market, how to bring these two things together is something that requires a lot of strategy and planning. And at the same time, we need to be aware of one thing, that we still have a sizable section of customers who go to branch for their transaction, despite availability of channels. So at the branch level also, which are our front offices, there also we have to keep on investing in technologies so that my internal customer, that is my own staff, they are at ease while dealing with the customers.
Right.
So it is happening on both sides, customer facing as well as internal customer facing.
Lovely. And you made me think about this fact. I'm discussing with the public and private sector about digitization all the time, right? We talk about new form factors of money. And at the same time, there's this underlying fact that we all face, that 10% typically of currency in a country will remain cash. No matter what you do with it, no matter how you move, so you still have to deal with the cash while you deal with stable coins and crypto at the other end, right? So that's kind of the world we live in. Now we've got a perspective very unique from SBI in terms of how they manage the innovation and change. Maybe moving on, to again a leading bank from Nepal. Someone from your perspective, you are in a country again which is at the cusp of really a young generation looking at digitization, mobile banking, and all kinds of expectations, right, from banks. How are you managing this kind of high demand for new and emerging technologies? At the same time, your own management of risks and internal dynamics. Yeah.
Thank you. So Global IM Bank, it's a pretty young bank. So it's a 19 years old bank. But during this 19 years, it went through a lot of consolidation process. So in fact, today's Global IME Bank is a merged entity of more than 20 financial institutions in Nepal, so including 5 commercial banks, including Global IME Bank itself. So it's a very much very much diversified culturally, structurally, database structured, culture structure, human resource capacity, geographical coverage, and so much of fragmentation there. So it's really tough to scale up this business and scale up the opportunity that we have. But despite that, we are doing a lot of activities. Especially, we are trying to build a proper infrastructure, and we are trying to build a proper data. We are trying to build data culture across the organizations. We are trying to optimize the data that we have, because though it's compared to SBI, it's not that big number, but we have more than 5.5 million customer base. And in our mobile banking only, we have more than 2.5 million customer base. So who do a lot of transactions, offline and online. So we have a huge data, but we have not been able to optimize that data. So data optimization is one part, and enhancing customer experience is another part where we are working on, especially optimizing our omni-channels. We have 2 omni-channels, one for B2C, individual customers as mobile banking, and we also have a corporate internet banking, which we call a BizNext. So we are optimizing this, both the omni-channels, we are working on it. And we have already done a lot of projects which helps to enhance our infrastructure. Basically, recently we did one project regarding this future readiness of our infrastructure for next 5 years. So what will be the right infrastructure for us? So that sort of assessment we have already done, and report has also come, and it's a very, very amazing. And we are also working on capacity building. And in Nepal, we are the first bank. We have done this hackathon, especially inviting young IT people across the country. In the last hackathon, we had more than 300 participants from across the country. So that sort of activities we are doing it so that we can build that kind of culture and retain those individuals. And business automations part, we are doing a lot of things. And risks and compliance also, we are doing a lot of this initiatives on automations. And cloud, we have few core applications which are already in the cloud. But as our colleague from SBI said, core, we can't do anything at the moment. But other ancillary services, other applications, we have started moving into the cloud so that we can have that scalability and agility going forward. So yes, we are doing a lot of things in Nepal. Being a largest bank in the country, we really want to lead from the front, especially on the digital transformation.
Lovely, lovely. So we hear at one end the extension towards the fintech ecosystem and the innovation edge, right, to kind of build new services and extend overlays and create an ecosystem of sorts. At the other end, you have the regulator, you have the multi-jurisdictional problem, for example, and all those aspects. So let's now move to the technologist side, right? If you look at the state of the art products that, for example, GSS is providing, Mahmoud, again, you will face a number of regulators, and each regulator, each jurisdiction will have their own compliance requirements. So how do you ensure that there's regulatory compliance by design in what you're offering as your product set?
Definitely, Rohan. So as you know, our market, it's based on a regulation, especially the Central Bank of the UAE, and obviously we've been learning from our neighbors in India, from MPCI, we've been learning in the UK for the open finance aspect. But in our product, we have made in the architecture itself a compliance-first engineering. And we've been working very closely with the Central Bank of the UAE, where we have one of our departments working with the regulatory, reading the rule books thoroughly and studying it in order to match with the proper ecosystem. We have, as of now, 155 financial institutions in the UAE. Therefore, in order for the whole ecosystem to work, those 155 plus has to comply with the regulatory. For instance, in the real-time payments platform, which I've been talking about, it includes, for example, the encryption part, the audit trails, the data residency, and of course, those are all coupled by a rule-based or governed by a rule-based APIs in our system. And again, it's a kind of microservices where it's not heavy to change. And then when we look at it, central bank initiatives, Central Bank of the EU initiatives, it's been having a far-reaching vision. For example, the real-time payments we have, including the FIT program, Financial Infrastructure Transformation. So we have the real-time payments, we have the open finance, we have the card domestic scheme, where we learned from India, from the RuPay. So we have J1. And we have the eKYC, we have a cloud compliance initiatives. All of those obviously have a proper mandate, regulations, where we have to read the rule books. As I mentioned, we're very close working with the regulatory, where they provide us with the rule books, where they provide us with different mandates. So in short, when the regulations evolve, you don't need to rebuild, you just need to reconfigure. So that allows the financial institutions, which on the other hand is more, to listen and to do that. And based on that, you avoid a lot of frauds, you make things seamless, faster, you comply with the regulatory to avoid fines for the banks. For us as a technology, there is no liability on us. And this is the liability is on the financial institution itself. But this is not the key. Again, it's about reputation. It's about relations with the financial institutions. I mean, if you look at it, what is better than a testimony from a bank or a financial institutions about your technology? I think this is one of the highest when you get a nice testimony, let's say even from SBI or from First Abu Dhabi Bank, Emirates MBD. This is by itself is enough, right? This is a certification for any technology company. Therefore, we make sure they meet the right the right compliance. But obviously, it's not words. You must have a scalable infrastructure and architecture.
Fantastic, Mahmoud. Thank you. Now, Mahmoud just spoke about instant payments, and FSS has been driving a lot of the instant payments processing and payments processing, at large, at scale. In India and other markets. From your perspective, Vishal, what do you consider as the scale of operations goes up for banks now, right? I mean, they have to be competitive, they have to be able to scale up, and India is a great case of it, but there are multi-market banks that are challenged as well in a different way. So what are some of the business and technology considerations that banks should have when it comes to such scale-up expectations?
You rightly said, UPI, the best example globally, and even for, not only for Indian fintechs, but globally, it is the best example of scale. And, I'll very briefly talk about the business as well as the technology consideration. So on the business side, there are three important elements which I believe are very important because of all what we have seen in the last 30 years in terms of the evolution of scale. So first is that you have to build your ecosystem which can handle scale. When I say ecosystem, which also means not technically, but also culturally. So you need to build your team to handle scale. I think that mindset, the DNA is very important. It is very important that the team just does not take scale as probably a one-time transformation, but it's an ongoing journey. So I think that is a very important element, which I have seen in past and which I have experienced by myself. Have a team which can handle scale. Second is, I think most important we have seen here in India, and which is now probably you see it in Singapore Pay now or in Brazil Pix. I think the second important element is to build scale as a business strategy is to look at how the whole system can be interoperable. And interoperability with open standards and with collaboration with Mohammed said, collaboration with banks, fintechs and regulators. I think that's pretty important. So I think that's the most important thing, the second important thing. And third, in my opinion, is about the trust and the compliance factor. Because now today, when you go digital, it's important to look at compliance, important to look at how you'll be able to maintain the trust in your consumers. And the trust is intact. So everything what you do to build those guardrails around building trust and ensuring that there is a compliance around it. So I think these are three business important decisions which you have to take when you talk about scale. Now, based on this business decisions, your technology choices will be defined. So let's say, for example, today, if we are talking about the interoperability, collaboration, then the open API becomes very important. You talk about changes which are very frequent, and you really want to do changes very fast in your applications, in your software. Then microservices architecture becomes very important. You talk about building the scale, and there could be chances where you will have unpredictable peaks and loads. So then the cloud native architecture becomes very important. There is a trust which you have to build in, and today you can't go back to those rule-based engines. So you will have to build something which is more AI-driven. So AI becomes very important. So if you combine the cloud native API first approach, AI-driven approach, and microservices architecture, I think that makes your complete choice of your technology decision.
Fantastic. So we've kind of covered the why in the beginning. We've heard some of the what's from a banking and a technology perspective. Now let's kind of get into the how of some of this, right? Which is, let's look at a forward-looking view. You just spoke about AI, Vishal. Now AI is again something which is definitely touted as one of the hot topics of the decade, right? Now either you're on the bandwagon or you're off the bandwagon, but everybody has a serious sense of FOMO because nobody knows what agentic AI is going to do tomorrow. Nobody knows what the banking of tomorrow will be or the experience of the customer will be tomorrow with AI as well. So given this kind of disruption, maybe let me take the bankers view quickly in a minute in the interest of time, Sandeep from your side, and Suman, what's your take on handling disruption related to AI, Gen AI, and agentic AI, kind of technologies?
Yeah, we are fully geared up to handle this kind of disruptions because this is not the first time that the banking industry is experiencing some disruptions. It has happened in the past, and we have navigated through all these kind of disruptions quite well. We have our own full-fledged department of analytics, which has data scientists and statisticians. Okay. We have a proper skill sets for AI, agentic AI, and Gen AI. And we are doing some projects which are powered by these technologies. These disruptions will keep on happening. Yeah. Today it is AI. AI is not something new, sure. For that matter. It's more than 60 years old. Why people are talking about AI now is because of the emergence of agentic AI and Gen AI, which are the variations of AI. But that's fine. We'll navigate through all these disruptions as we have done in the past.
Right. And maybe I'll pass the question to you, Suman, but also maybe reflect on the regulatory aspect, if any, of these new forms of AI. Is there a role for the regulator to play for banks?
Yeah, in our context, yes, if you talk about global IM bank, we are moving into that direction. At the moment, we are doing one project under the data warehousing project. So that will be a foundation for this AI project. And we are doing some sort of RPA, this robotic process automations. I think that going forward will be replaced by agentic AI. And in Gen AI, we are trying to build some local model where I can enable my staff, especially in terms of learning and development. So that things are there. But going forward, yes, that will be a big thing coming in, especially in the banking sector through agentic AI. So I'm very much hopeful on that. And regulatory side, yes, our regulators, especially Central Bank of Nepal, they are very much proactive, as I said before. So they have already issued the AI, this regulatory guidelines framework as well. So yes, they are very much proactive. Yeah,
fantastic, great. So now, if we look at another topic which is of high relevance today and possibly for the next decade, again, it's about instant payments, right? So, instant payments is now very much something all of us experience on a day-to-day basis. So it's very much staple. But many of us, especially in the banking world and the financial world, and even paytechs and fintechs dealing with payments, think about instant payments fraud and compliance. This is an area where not a lot of focus is going. And my personal belief is that there's a lot of undercurrent where fraud is being just ignored at this point. So again, maybe a view from the technologist view. Mahmoud, when you look at instant payments compliance, what is your view? And 1 minute take, please, because we are almost out of time. Yeah.
It's basically a real-time intelligence where you embed the AI to do a transactional monitoring for any transaction, and based on that, you can monitor it within milliseconds. And obviously, you are embedded already with the credit scoring, or we have it in the UAE called Al-Ittihad Credit Bureau, and it shows exactly on what's the behavior of the customer itself and what they're doing. So we have a very strong AI-driven compliance and monitoring system. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Vishal?
Yeah, so when we talk about instant payment, my firm belief is that there has to be also work to be done to make compliance also very instant. Now today, if you look at it, we do transactions many milliseconds. But if you look at the compliance system which we have built, those are built for days. And we always have a sort of a post-event investigation and post-transaction compliance. I think which is very important is that the compliance has to go with the transaction, not after the transaction. So I think it's very important. And the compliance, in my view, very clearly should be taken as a confidence accelerator rather than being a speed breaker.
Sure.
So I think there's obviously
it's a need, right?
lot to do on the compliance.
Yeah, and I would just maybe add that from a B2B perspective, it adds on different layers as well. KYC and due diligence is something which is not done in real time. So anyway, that's another thought for the audience. Okay, so we have a minute left. I'm going to now move to a quick fire round. Okay, I'm going to start with you, Vishal. So in one sentence, if we recreate this panel in 2035, what should be the topic we'll discuss?
I have two thoughts. One is that definitely we'll not talk about core anymore. And second is that we will still continue to talk about building trust with our consumers.
Trust and core. Okay, go. Suman.
I think, it's 2035, it's too early, but still, but I just want to refer to one podcast that I heard recently. So ex-CEO of Google, he said, there will be a financial dystopia or financial utopia. So dystopia, let's not hope. Utopia, then we'll be talking about values, compassion, so many things in the financial sector.
Fantastic. Love it, love it. Kindness and compassion in banking. Okay.
Might be quantum machine learning and quantum computing, and perhaps
Waiting for that. Yeah.
perhaps a single mainframe on which all banks are operating.
Fantastic. Do you think Q-Day would have come by then?
Yeah.
Lovely. Mahmoud.
Thank you. So two things, basically autonomous banking ecosystem where AI and regulatory compliance will run into parallel. Yeah. And second of all, I believe banks will start to partner up with technology companies and fintechs where the banks will take care of their business, the mortgages and the loans and everything. And they will get the experience of one of the leading technology companies around the world.
Fantastic. So, yeah, I love it as well, actually. So, I always try to leave a takeaway with the audience, So, my last parting question in one line, if you can. What is the one key takeaway you'd like the audience to move away with from this panel? Yeah.
Believe that technology and modernization, it is not a disruption, but it is a way of a cultural shift, and it is the way moving forward. So it's not a disruption at all.
Lovely.
One takeaway for the audience is that please be aware of what kind of rights you are having, and don't allow yourselves to be fooled by someone or to be and don't fall victim to any kind of online frauds by clicking on some unknown links and all those things. We, as a leading bank, we keep on educating customers on this. So once again, I will give this message to this audience.
Thank you. Suman?
Yeah, for me, I think the most important thing is to reflect, to see yourself, your organization, rather than jumping into the new technology or new things coming in. So reflection is very, very important.
So for me, modernization should not be taken as a technology project. It should be taken as a strategic priority and enjoy that journey of modernization.
Lovely, lovely. So, we've heard from all the panelists, and I'd just like to close with some of the consensus here, right? That let's focus on real business problems, consumer needs, and keep the technology as the enablers in a safe, trusted manner, right? And it'll continue to evolve. We're always on a journey. It's not a point in time. So with that, thanks a lot to the panelists. This was a great conversation. Thanks to the audience.